There we go. Good morning, Dan. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you.
Quick introduction, if you don't mind.
Okay, my name's Dan Dion. Philip's my direct supervisor at CIA First, and I am the elementary school curriculum coordinator for grades 2 to 5. And I'm just here to digest a little bit about what the meeting's about and learn a little more about HOMs. So my understanding and knowledge, it kind of improves.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dan. Juanita?
I'm an HOM trainer, and I'm a part-time teacher center director and professional developer in the region.
Wonderful. Lovely to see you again. Dr. Shakeen is lurking there with no video on. There you are.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Shakeen. I'm the middle school, high school STEM curriculum coordinator at CIA First International School. And this is my second year at CIA First, and I'm very fascinated with the whole concept of HOM, and especially with the dimensions. And I'm helping my team in developing assessments and activities based around the dimensions of growth. And that's why I'm in this meeting, to learn more from all of you.
Thank you, Dr. S. So actually, that is on the agenda. We're going to look at some of those assessment instruments aligned to the dimensions. And we've got a whole bunch of them now in the EduPlanet Institute. So I'm going to give a walkthrough of that. But I do want to start with Daryl's research. So Daryl, remind us, what's the title of your paper?
I would need to look at the title, but it's basically about the correlation between personalized learning levels and achievement in the performance task of the unit, to see what the correlation of the scores is. Does it affect scores in the performance task?
Right. So the reason why I'm so excited about this is that it builds on my research paper. Now, I think it's true to say that you know, in education, maybe in the social sciences, in general, there's a problem that often studies are not done that try to replicate findings. And also, you know, often we have lots and lots of recommendations for follow-up because there were limitations and such forth, but it rarely gets done. So to see Daryl's work essentially using the same conceptual framework has been really exciting, but it's also taking it to a next level because it's looking at the personalized learning element as well as the things that I was looking at. So I actually, just to remind us, or for those of you who haven't read my research, let me present to just briefly explain the conceptual framework. So I'm going to present.
By the way, it's on the Institute. Do you want me to put that in the chat so that people can get to it if they need to?
That would be great.
I'll do that.
Yep. Okay, I'm sharing, so just give me the thumbs up that you can all see that. Yep.
No, I raised my hand instead.
We can see it.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. So let me actually get to where I need to get to. Right. So, I mean, this is going to get somewhat technical, but please do ask questions. I mean, this is what this is all about. So this is a quantitative correlational study using multiple linear regression. So the dependent variable, and this is the same for Daryl's research, is that you've got the performance task achievement. So this is all within the understanding by design framework, with the performance task in essence being the ultimate goal of students being able to transfer their learning to new and authentic situations. Now, the main covariate in mine was the habits of mind assessments, as you can see there, and the other two that we looked at, knowledge and skills assessments and essential questions. So if you think about that in terms of stage 1 of UBD, the knowledge and skills, that's your declarative and procedural. The essential questions is your conceptual. Habits of mind is your cognitive. So what Daryl did is add an extra independent variable there, which is the level to which personalized learning was introduced for the students across 3 of those elements. And that was inquiry, product, or sorry, should I say topic, product, and feedback. Daryl, do you just want to correct me if I'm wrong there?
Yeah, task and audience, I think, is the name.
Okay,
Yes.
task and audience, yep.
Feedback and idea generation.
Idea generation, thank you. All right. Okay, now I have actually, Daryl, I have your data set in SPSS here. Shall I just?
Yeah, go ahead. I was going to present it, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just looking at it this morning, so let me get that up. All right, we can actually let's look at the raw data first. So here's the raw data, and as you can see, we've got 87 is the sample size.
There was originally 122, but we lost some of those, of course, due to the pandemic and due to non-submissions and incomplete data sets.
Yeah, that's important. So we took out any non-complete data sets, as it would have corrupted the analysis. So you can see there that you've got the scores for all these different summative assessments, and you've got the personalized total as well. So for the personalized total, it was basically scored out of 3 meant student generated. Is that right, Daryl?
That's correct. So
Yep.
it was 1 for teacher generated, 2 for co-created, and 3 for student generated for each of the 3 elements.
So that was a possible maximum of 9 there.
Yes.
All right. Drum roll. Let me get this so it's at least viewable. Okay. Now, the first very exciting thing is this R² number. So this essentially tells us how good the model is. So this tells us that almost 40% of the variability in performance task achievement can be explained by these independent variables that we have chosen. Now, again, why this is so exciting is that In my research, I actually broke it down into two sections. One was the middle school social studies, one was the high school English language arts. And from memory, I had about 50% was explained by in the middle school and about 30% in the high school. And this is bang in the middle of that. So we're getting some reproducibility here. Now we get into these figures here. What we can see here with this significance, all of these, this is the p-value actually, the probability value. All of these are less than 0.05, which is the kind of gold measurement there. So let me try to articulate this correctly. I don't claim to be a statistics expert, but I understand that the model enough. Is that the probability of the null hypothesis being true is almost zero. So to put that another way, we have hypothesized that students' performance in essential questions discussion will have a significant impact. That's what we've hypothesized. The null hypothesis is that it wouldn't, and it's highly improbable that the null hypothesis is true. Therefore, it's highly probable that these things didn't happen by chance, would be another way of thinking about it. Then we look at this B figure. What this tells us is the variance in performance task achievement that was caused, or at least the correlation can be seen, if all of the other independent variables remain the same. So here we can see that for every 1% rise in the student's essential questions assessment, there would be a 0.33 increase in performance task achievement. For every 1% rise in the knowledge and skills assessment, there'd be a 0.32% rise in performance task achievement. Habits of mind, 0.18.
Yeah, it's funny, Phil, because in your high school ELA, in your paper, it was 0.17.
Yes.
For the habits of mind, so it's virtually identical.
Absolutely right. So let me just get that up to just do a comparison. Let me get to my table of contents. So this was the middle school social studies. So remember, this is the same framework, the same suite of assessments largely, although there was a difference in the habits of mind assessments, and this links into the later agenda point when we're going to look at the evolution of that. But you can see this model was very strong, almost 50% predictive power. you will see again, it's similar, actually slightly lower for essential questions and knowledge and skills in this data set, but higher for the habits.
Yeah, that's the middle school one, yeah.
That's right. And actually, we have a pretty good inclination why that is, and we can talk about that. Then we have a look at the high school, which is more similar actually to Daryl's data set. And
Of course, it was high school, the students that were in my sample size.
Absolutely right. Yeah. So here in my study, my data set, a 30% predictive power of the model, which is less than Daryl's. But you'll see here, actually, the habits of mind figure almost identical. And all of these were significant. What is also fascinating for both is that multicollinearity, I love that word, multicollinearity was not an issue in any of these studies. So you can look at that figure here, and if it's close to 1, then that means it's fine. Oh, we've got Julio coming in. So that may be counterintuitive. That means that there wasn't correlation between any of the independent variables. So, for example, if they did well in the acquisition of knowledge and skills, it didn't necessarily mean that they got the conceptual understandings or were doing well in the cognitive element. And that, again, kind of validated the model. And I think validates UBD to a large extent, to say that they are different enough in terms of type of learning, in terms of desired results. Now, this is where we have a little bit of a Gordian knot. If you look at this personalized learning total, it is statistically significant here, but the B value is more than 1. Now, I'm actually looking for help here. We are looking for help here. That's highly unusual. And what it could mean is that the predictive power is enormous. Could mean. So it could mean that for every 1% rise in the personalized total, you got a 2.3% rise in the performance task achievement. What it often means is that multicollinearity is a problem, but that's not what the model tells us. So we're a little bit bemused by that. Do we have any statistics experts in the group that can shed any light on that? Or is there any questions in terms of what we just gone through there?
Daryl, I got a little lost, so maybe you can help me find my way.
Sure.
I got lost between your study and Philip's study. So what exactly, could you just summarize very succinctly, what exactly did you find out? The way I understood it, you had 9 things that you were looking at.
Yeah.
You had.
Yeah, well, basically it was the same as Phil's study, apart from what I did was add on one independent variable, which was the personalized learning number, which we derived from the surveys for the 3 elements, where we give numbers between 1 and 3 for teacher generated and student generated. We added those numbers up and had a total of 9, and we used that independent variable in addition to the knowledge and skills quiz, the EQ discussion, and the habits of mind assessments to see the correlation between those scores and the performance tasks.
So I follow you on that, but I got lost on the idea that you were also looking at task and audience feedback and idea generation, which are 3 of the 7 elements.
Yeah.
So how, I don't get what you learned about that.
Okay. Well, we basically took those 3 together as a personalized learning total.
Okay.
Now, what we could do, and what I probably will do at some point, is to plug each of those in individually to see.
Okay, I understand now.
If there's a correlation, you know, a different correlation between the elements. So we can do that as well, Phil, can't we? We can.
No, absolutely right. And I was gonna say we absolutely should do that, Daryl.
Yeah.
Maybe sorry, go on, Benna.
No, I was just going to ask, did you write this up so that we can study it?
I'm in the process of that.
Okay, all right, good. I just wanted to know if it was ready to be read.
Benna,
So that's beautiful.
This is hot off the press.
Hot off the press.
Right?
Very exciting. It's very exciting.
No, this is a VIP sneak preview.
So if we ran each of the 3 elements independently, do you think the B value would fall below the 1?
Oh, I would hate to make an assumption about that.
Yeah, possibility.
Yeah, but let's do that. Maybe if we've got some time today, Daryl.
Okay.
So look, I mean, you know, trying to take it away from like pure data, let's talk about this in real terms a little bit more. So look, if the unit was Phnom Penh opportunities and challenges, okay, so the students were looking at issues facing Phnom Penh as a capital, and if it was personalized for the idea generation, then it was up to the students whether they were looking at political, economic, environmental, etc. Right? So that was the choices that they made, as opposed to on the lower side, the teacher giving them the areas to research. If that makes sense, right?
Yep.
Then we've got task and audience. I guess is fairly self-explanatory, but it's kind of like who were they actually reporting this information to, and for what purpose, right? Which also then would influence the product that they actually made, the tone, etc., etc. So whether that was, you know, to the Cambodian government, or was it to a, you know, a multinational kind of, I don't know, environmental organization or whatever. So again, did the students choose that? Was that co-created, or was that teacher generated? The last one is feedback. So basically, who drives that? Is it the student actually basically holding those conferences? You know, choosing the time and place for that? Who would they get feedback from? Was it peers? Was it more knowledgeable experts in the field? Was it the teacher? And who essentially would drive those conferences and choose the feedback on what areas? So again, 1 to 3 there. So I hope that kind of clarifies what we were actually doing instructionally.
Very much so. Thank you.
So yeah, I think, look, I think that's it for now. It very, very encouraging that you know, that this has reproduced pretty much spot on what we found out before. Some things here, I mean, the sample size was a lot smaller. So in my studies, it was upwards of 500. Here, the sample size was just over 100, right? Oh no, a bit less.
We only got 87.
Right.
Sample sets.
And I think that was somewhat due to the pandemic and you know, online learning. Okay. And then I think with the habits of mind, we did, let me get this right, we did use a dimensions of growth aligned assessment, right, Daryl?
We did, yes.
But it wasn't a number of them continuously throughout the unit, and
No,
that
it was a one-off short assessment.
Right. Now, this is in line with what we are trying to achieve to make these habits of mind, I'm going to call them activity/assessments because they don't have to be assessments, in terms of making them more focused, making them aligned across the dimensions, and making them much more in the moment, to get away from where we started, which was a journal that had kind of too many elements to it, maybe was a little bit too much after the fact, and maybe didn't actually look at all of the dimensions. I think we realized that really we were just looking at value and commitment there, where we're trying to now focus on the meaning, the alertness, the capacity as well. That may make more, that may make more sense once I start showing some of these different assessment sites and almost like the evolution of our thinking within that. But even though, I mean, look, it's still significant. It's still very, very similar to the figure we were having, but we actually think that if we can embed those activities and assessments throughout the unit to give those students more practice on a very specific version of the habit in the context of the unit, we hypothesize that predictive power, that correlation, is going to go up.
Is it a matter of dimension coverage as opposed to a habit of mind coverage?
Well, again, these are interesting questions, aren't they? So for this study, or for this unit, we should say that we had two habits, right?
Yep.
Which were?
Creating, imagining, and innovating, and taking responsible risks.
There we go. So we can see how that they very nicely fit into the context. What a great follow-up question, right? So we could actually look at units where we maybe pick one habit, but we have multi-dimensional focus versus multiple habits, and we could start playing around with the predictive power there. Because this is, I mean, this is what I'm so interested in. And if you look at my paper, when I say, follow-up research is to look at all different approaches to habits of mind assessment instruments and see which are the most powerful. Because it's not just about getting that correlation, is it? It's about what is most useful for teachers to spend their time on.
I think when you talk about powerful, you probably also have to talk about for whom.
Right.
Because you would want to know what's most powerful for students in terms of developing and cultivating their capacity to be self-assessing. You want to talk about in terms of powerful for teachers, in terms of how do you really make sure that you're identifying those habits that you really want the students to put their energy and focus on. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me like there's also a correlation between the bridge, the meaning to internalizing, and the slider moving from teacher generated to student generated.
Yes.
They're really one and the same in terms of the understanding, the continuum, and the directionality.
So much going on here, so much. And yeah, I mean, just in response to that, I think, look, if we say that actually transfer is the holy grail, the ability for students to put everything together to solve a real world problem, there's power in that. The second point there is that the feedback from both students and teachers in terms of these dimensions of growth assessments, as opposed to the more generic journals or even these in the moment ones, has been very, very positive.
That's really important.
So again, and Servit will know what I'm talking about here, because this is what we've been working on together. The student work is just amazing that's being produced through this. And even to the point, we've got a grade 8 social studies unit on religion that I think I did present, I think in the other group. I also did a 10-minute Tuesday with Claire that's coming out very, very soon on that. And that was very, very powerful. And they've gone on to they're just coming to the end of a unit on human rights now. And the students actually complained to the teacher. They said, why can't we do those dimensions of growth ones again? We'd really like those.
I love that.
So yeah, that was feedback from Rob, actually, Daryl, who's our middle school social studies coordinator, is part of Daryl's team. So yeah, I mean, I've got so much to show. I could show you student work and everything, but I'm wary of time. We never have enough time in these sessions, do we?
I think another possible variable would be what we refer to as attention density. In other words, how often, how frequently, and how intensely are the habits of mind called upon, called to their attention, called to focus on. And of course, the more dense those experiences are, the more possibilities are that they get internalized. So that could be another variable.
That's a great point, Art. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think, the idea is, as with summatives, that you don't use a summative until the students have had enough exposure and practice. We have some doubts about that in this study, that perhaps that habits of mind assessment was given reasonably early on, and it wasn't, what was the term you used, intensity, Art?
Attention density.
Attention density, right. So yes, maybe that was, shall we say, lower than it could be. But again, something to look at as we evolve these even more.
Sure.
All right, shall we move on?
Well, maybe what we could do is just see if anybody has any other comments they want to make.
Please.
Maybe if you could get us off the screen for a second.
I will for a moment. Hold on.
Thank you.
There we go. We're back.
Because there's a lot of material there. So
Yeah,
we're
sure.
absorbing. Give us just a moment to absorb. Any questions, any thoughts you have as we're absorbing?
Philip, one of the things that I was thinking about when I was listening to which specific habits you were looking at is I thought about how these habits will often work in clusters.
Yes.
And as I just heard you describe the process of it, the one that came to my mind that felt very powerful is the habit of mind of metacognition.
Yep.
And how much you're engaging the students in actions of metacognition, you know, whether it's metacognition itself or on what habits they're using. So I'm wondering if that could also be an area to explore.
Very, very insightful, Julio. Yes. That's another element of this, clustering them. And we've played around with that, especially looking at some of these creativity-based ones, when we're looking at question and problem solving, applying past knowledge, leading on to creating and imagining. So that's another avenue to take this, and then intertwining that with the dimensions of growth as well. So clustering and aligning to the dimensions and personalizing, you know, the scope here of where we can take this is just enormous.
Philip, where can we see the research? Is it published yet or available somewhere? Because I'm curious about the research questions as well.
So my paper is actually published on the Habits of Mind.
I put it in the chat, Philip. It's in the chat.
Daryl's, I'm sure, will be. Well, let's assuming that he gains his master's degree, but I'm pretty confident about that. And I'm going to show you actually as well, because we've got a repository in the EduPlanet Institute as well, which is going to be what we're going to look at in a moment. I've already uploaded myself, my paper, and Norman's paper, and another paper there. So we're going to build that up over time. In terms of publication, I'm actually looking at that still. I had an offer, and I forget the journal. I think it was Educational Research, but they wanted me to cut it down to 8,000 words, and it's currently 12,000. And I just felt so much meaning would be lost. So yeah, if anyone has any relationships or links to contacts with people with academic journals, please let me know, because I do still want to get this published. One of the goals, the overarching goals of this group, is to actually publish a compendium of HOM research. So we've got that wonderful work by Jenny, but I think it would be maybe version 2.0 of that, right? To put everything that we do together in this group and get it published as a compendium.
I think that would be great. Much needed.
Oh, there's another one actually, because my deputy high school principal has just recently gained his master's, and he actually looked at the habits of mind within the context of restorative practices.
So say it again, Philip.
The habits of mind in the context of restorative practices for our school environment and culture and student support services. So it's pretty new. We're only kind of 2 years down the road with that. So I'll upload that one as well. He got his passing grade just last week, right, Daryl?
That would be interesting to see because we have quite a few schools in our region that are involved with restorative practices, and we've been trying to say there is the correlation between habits of mind, but if somebody's done some research that verifies it, I'd appreciate seeing that. Thank
Very
you.
much.
Absolutely, yeah.
Also, Pat, if you want, you can email me afterwards to remind me. But for high school, they did a lot of work with using restorative practice with habits of mind.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of material I can give you. I don't know if it's not research formal, Phil, so I don't know if you want it or not, but they really had tremendous practice.
Very interested, of course, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, just thinking maybe I should invite Deepak to present his research in this group in coming sessions, coming weeks.
Thank you.
At some time too, it would be very interesting to hear from Servet and his doctorate
Yes.
on looking at some of the antecedents of the habits of mind. How do people form them? And it would be fun to take a session with Servet. Also on the book he's putting together now.
Well, no, 100%. So I think that's going to be hopefully our third agenda point before we finish up today. So all right, let's just go on to the EduPlanet Institute. Now, I believe that everyone has an EduPlanet account and has been added to the Institute. Please do let me know if that's not the case. I'm trying to, this group is just growing so quickly. It's difficult to keep up with everyone's accounts. But let me just walk you through it briefly. So I'm going to share again. Okay. So when you go into your, let me go to the home actually.
Yes. I'm online. I'll be another 20 minutes.
So the first thing when you get into EduPlanet, you'll see the drop down here, which is the organization. So you can see here, for example, I've got my 2 schools, various others, but the one you want is the iHOM PD cohort. So if you have been set up with your EduPlanet account, then we should have added you to this organization. It's actually Claire that has to do that, and then I can add you to the Institute. So that's the organization. When you log in, you will see 2 institutes here. You've got the generic kind of iHOM community, and then you've got the research community. Now, within that, we've got some HOM learning paths, some discussions and resources. I'm just going to focus on the resources for the moment. So the global resources are the ones that are shared across institutes, and the local ones are unique to the institute. You will see here the research papers. The first one, I forget who that is now. A systematic review. Is that yours, Julio? A systematic review using habits of mind to improve students' thinking in class. No, that's not yours. This is Norm's. This was focusing on the actually EduPlanet learning paths and changes in teacher beliefs about the habits. Now the other section, the HOM learning activities, assessment instruments and rubrics. And you will see we have a lot in there now. So this is all tied into the research that we've been doing. So this is where we started our journey, let's say. What I do wonder, Benna, is moving forward, if we could make these viewable within the portal rather than having to download.
Agree.
So let me make that a little bigger. So this is where we started the journey. So once having chosen the habit or habits that we wanted to focus on, that we thought were most necessary for success in the performance task, we got the students to do a number of things. So journal as they are going through the learning activities of the unit and giving evidence statements based on their own reflections of where they believe they have or had employed the habits and the benefits that brought to them. And in contrast, where they felt they may have missed those opportunities and the consequences. Now, what we later realized, and this was before that our understanding of the dimensions was as deep as it is now, that actually that really pertains to value, because it's talking about benefits and consequences. Then it was just a general self-assessment there, how they think they had done. There was an observational element from the teacher. And you can see there all the different habits included there. Now, basically the feedback from both students and teachers is that they weren't in the moment enough, and often it was seen as an afterthought, where the students were trying to struggle to remember what those activities were, and you know, when they had employed habits or they had, right? So what we wanted to do was make them much more tied to content. And that's been a really, really big goal of what we've been doing here, to be seen by students as teachers as something separate. It's not an add-on. So this is where we went into these, what we termed in the moment ones. So this is a good example of where we have clustered. So actually this one was based on the work of a psychologist there. Whereas we tend to think of creativity as being, in some sense, this light bulb moment, but actually it isn't. It's about pushing the sphere of possibilities incrementally, one step at a time. So before reading a complex text, to get them, the students, to actually journal the assumptions that they have.
That's nice.
And then as new information is coming in, what are the questions that they're asking themselves, right? So has what they've just read confirmed their assumptions and biases or challenged them? Remaining open and continuously. Has anything changed? Do they have any new beliefs and opinions? What do they know now that they didn't? Now, if that is then linked to some kind of problem-solving task, how can their new learning influence strategies? And again, with all of these, we have rubrics, of course. So that was one of the evolutions. And as you can see, that's much more focused. So this would be just done in class, you know, as they were doing some of the prescribed reading for the unit. Not something that they had to do afterwards, right? This was very much in the moment. So one could say capacity to actually employ these habits. And then I will show one more, but of course, please do feel free to browse through these. We've got so many here now. I don't know which one this is. Let's just take a random example. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that is that because it's a PDF. There we go. That's why that one was uploaded as a PDF. Oh, that's not so much dimensions of growth, is it? Question and problem posing, right? Maybe it is. Maybe that's a capacity one. Let's choose another one though. Oh, it does say capacity there, doesn't it? Capacity, sorry, yes.
Let's make sure we have time for Servit to talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Philip, can I mention one point here?
Yes.
Just like we have to download to view the resources, similarly, while we upload them, you know, we have to download them and then upload them. It's not possible to link them directly from the drive. So if that could be taken care of, then it would be easier to upload them.
Yeah, we can definitely work to make this a bit more user-friendly.
Definitely. I think they've got a lot on their mind right now, but you know, to make that better, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So
Thank you.
Yep. Just one more quickly. So this is about meaning. So, within the dimensions of all the different, let's say, instances or variations of a particular habit, this is identifying it in others. So looking at particular websites there and communicating with clarity and precision. So identifying there the ways in which these different websites did or didn't communicate their ideas. This is actually something that I spoke to Claire about in this 10-minute Tuesday, which was the work we've been doing, mapping out what we call the HOM competencies, to actually say at different grade clusters what these habits could look like across the 5 dimensions at different stages of development, which is also the chapter of the book, of Servit's book, that I'm writing, which is a nice introduction into Dr. Servit Alton.
Thank you, Philip. I'm excited and honored to be a member of this wonderful community. And I want to start with maybe introducing myself a little bit, and then I will give information about the book. I am working as a teacher educator here in Turkey, and I'm doing workshops for International Baccalaureate Organization. And I also work in a school where we use international baccalaureate programs, and I'm the coordinator of the program. I have known Habits of Mind since 2014. I was informed about it when I met one of our principals, international principals, Michael Safarovich, and he was a practitioner of Habits of Mind in his schools in the previous experiences. And then as a doctorate student in 2014, I became so interested in Habits of Mind, and I got in touch with Art and Bena, and they have been so supportive along the way. And currently I'm located in Ankara in Turkey, and I also teach at Bilkent University, one of the universities here in Turkey, and I do research on Habits of Mind as well. And this will be something that I will suggest to the ways that I can contribute to this community as well. I can talk about my PhD study a little bit, and if you are interested in, I have got 2 MA students who are currently working on Habits of Mind, and they are working on emergency remote teaching and Habits of Mind. So this is something like a very heated discussion these days. So they are still in the process of getting their research design together. They haven't started collecting data. And when it comes to my PhD research, as Arthur earlier mentioned, I studied antecedents of Habits of Mind. So which life experiences have contributed to a group of teachers' Habits of Mind. So what makes, my main question, something that I was always interested in, was what makes some teachers have more Habits of Mind, and what makes others have less Habits of Mind or different Habits of Mind. So I was really curious about that, and I'm a qualitative researcher, Philip. That is why I kept quiet when you were doing the SPSS analysis. I worked with quantitative, but I used the R program, and my research is more qualitative. So I worked with 5 teachers here in Turkey, and I have gathered enormous data over a year with from five teachers, and I have interesting findings from this research. And this can be one of the topics for another meeting. Philip, if you like, I can present my research because I think it is really interesting, and in terms of the results, and it includes some of the restorative activities as well from the teacher's perspective. So I would really like to present it at some point. But now, when it comes to the book idea, this is something that I have been excited for 2 years. I have been thinking about it and I have started planning it. But I think this process, the things that we experiences nowadays globally have triggered this process. So I thought this is a very much needed book for right now, because we need, I think, more guidance. I'm talking about especially from the Turkish part of the research community. We need more to hear habits of mind, because I don't think there are not schools who practice habits of mind, unfortunately, in Turkey, but there are researchers who are, or there are educators who are interested in it. So I thought this could be a great chance for them to learn more about the habits of mind. If you don't mind, I can share the title of the book and the abstract for those if you haven't read it before.
Please do. I think you should be able to present.
Yes, thank you, Philip. I can do, yes. I'm sorry, yes. So here is the potential title, but of course, I'm very open to feedback. If you have any feedback, please just email me after this meeting if you like. And I would like to focus more on the teacher side, but of course, the book will have practical and tools for students as well. It doesn't mean that the book will only have tools for teachers. But this is something, the mindful and thoughtfulness idea in the habits of mind. This is related to the conceptual framework that I have created in my doctorate study. And I must say that Dr. Erskine Dotin, he helped me a lot to understand deeply about what is mindfulness and thoughtfulness when it comes to habits of mind. So I will have, you don't see, Jenny is not here today, but Jenny Farber-Lane, she is the co-editor of the book, and she was my PhD supervisor. Now we are colleagues and we meet sometimes and we discuss about the book and how we will progress, etc.
Is she also in Turkey, Servet?
Sorry?
Is she also in Turkey?
Yes, she's in Turkey. She's from Wisconsin and she's in Turkey teaching at the university that I also work with. And we have done all the habits of mind research with her. And the students, 2 master students that I mentioned, we co-supervise with Jenny. So we are like the habits of mind researchers of the faculty here. So
Right.
And here is the abstract. I can email this if you like to everyone, but you can take a minute to read it if you haven't read it before.
Servet, I put your a link to your research in the chat as well.
Thank you, Benat. Thank you. That is great. Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you have any questions, please, you can stop any moment and ask, or if you have any feedback right now or after the meeting, I'm really pleased to hear from you as well.
I'm sorry, but I have to run right now, but
Okay.
I know, I totally appreciate and support what you're doing. And
Thank you. Thank you, Benat.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, Benna.
Bye, Benat.
Bye.
So this is, we just started the process, and maybe I can stop sharing the screen because I think we should use time for maybe other things, or I can answer any questions if there are any questions about the book. But we are just starting with the book, and I have sent invitations to potential authors, and currently I have got positive responses from including myself. Yes, I gave positive response to myself, and there are 12 authors confirmed, and there are 15 chapters because some authors wanted to contribute more than one chapter, and it seems like there will be at least 15 chapters. I'm very excited about this book, and I am very excited about how this book will help others to deepen their understandings and practices about habits of mind. Because the book is not completely an academic book. There will be theory parts, but there will be practices as well. I didn't really like to publish my dissertation as a book because I think I have done it in my articles. They are in academic journals, but now it is time for a more practical approach when it comes to the habits of mind from the teacher's side and my research is concerned. So this is what I can present, and I'm planning to submit the proposal to ASCD first by the end of July, and I will be gathering the book summaries, chapter summaries by the end of July, and I will definitely keep you updated whether it is accepted by this publisher or another publisher. I'm very determined to make this, writing this book, and we will make it happen.
Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
yep.
Philip, please, for the other meetings, if we can add some time for my PhD research, I want to present that as well. It may be interesting. And for some other meetings, I may invite the master students as well. They can talk about, share their research ideas and get your feedback too.
100%. So just a quick question, Servet, remind me, have I added you to the EduPlanet Institute yet?
Not really.
Okay. So I need to get you instructions on how to log on. Please, if you haven't already, you may have, send me the details of your two students as well, because I think that access to that and some of the resources there would benefit them. 100%, you're going to get 2 slots. You're going to get one to present your research, definitely an invitation for your students as well. And we will kind of probably have an ongoing slot to talk about the book and how that's coming along. So
thank you.
Very much part of this community now, Servet.
Thank you, Philip. And on another note, I would like to add, if at any point you would like to turn your research into a paper, I'm really happy to collaborate with you as well about that too. Just to know.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's have another conversation about that. So yes, it's been a real pleasure to collaborate with Servet. We're working on Google Drive. We're having rich discussions about the content of the book and how that should look. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that I can get that chapter ready as a complete chapter.
Thank you.
Are you off? Do you have to leave, Art?
Yeah, I gotta go.
Okay, I think we've been running for an hour and a quarter now. So just any quick questions for Servet and the work he's doing and the book itself?
Maybe I can type my email address here. If there are any afterthoughts, please email me.
I think everyone should be able to see it in the group actually where we send out the invites. I think everyone's email address
is
there.
You're right.
But yeah, maybe if you want to, I don't know, because you've actually got a nice infographic, right, which actually shows the timeline and things like that. So maybe if you could share that. I do have a Google Doc, which is a shared document for suggested agenda topics and tentative dates for this. So Servet, please just add in when you would like to present yourself and also invite your students. I guess just before we finish up, how are we looking for the summer? Because I know that the more generic group is taking a break until September, right? My gut feeling is that we have so much stuff going on in this group that we shouldn't delay, and we should carry on. But what does everyone else think about that?
I'm good with that, Philip. I think there's a lot to discuss, and it would be good to meet.
Absolutely, because we need to keep in touch about the presentations coming up on October as well, don't we, Julio? So we've still got that going on. Pat, Juanita, are you good to carry on meeting once a month?
Because it's the last Monday of the month, correct?
Yeah, it was only different this time because of the other one. Yeah,
right. Because here in the U.S. we have big celebrations around the 1st of July. So.
Oh, right. So no, hold on, let me get this right. So this is actually the May call. It was just delayed.
So right? End of June, end of July, end of August. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Generally, yeah, it's the 3rd week.
Right.
So Pat, are we good to soldier on?
We are.
Jane?
Absolutely. This is riveting. So definitely. Thank you for including me.
Yes. So let's get you on the agenda as well.
Maybe give me a minute to catch up with folks, read some research, but I'm definitely interested in the practical applications of this in the classroom. And I have a lot of thoughts to share with you, but maybe not next time, maybe the time after, but it's up to you.
No, that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
But no, I mean, look, certainly a presentation of the work you're doing, and then we can think about how that can lead on to some action research. So,
okay, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much to everyone, as always.
Thank you.
Real pleasure to see everyone. And I will, as always, I will share the recording of this video. And have a wonderful month ahead. See you in a few weeks.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.